It's time to talk about some of the issues and challenges related to language policy and planning in the country. We could see that the issues related to language policy and planning range from the making of the policy to the implementation of policy. In addition to this, we could see there are some other political issues, lack of political will or parochial politics, which are adding to these factors. Among these factors, one of the most prominent can be seen as the ambivalence or confusion among successive governments in relation to the status of national language, medium of instruction, and official language. We know that in Pakistan, Urdu is the national language and English is used as the official language. But if we look at the history, we could see when these languages were introduced as official and national language respectively, there were very few native speakers of these languages living in the country at that time. And that was the point when the debate about the status of these languages arose, and many people belonging to various linguistic minorities questioned their status. We can see there have been recurrent claims about the change of the medium of instruction with Urdu from English, but it has never happened. As I said earlier, there has been a serious lack of political will in this regard. We could see the rhetoric of changing this status many times, even in constitutional statements or documents, but no government took it seriously to do it in reality. Even Zia regime's efforts to Islamize and Urdunize Pakistani education system could not root out English from Pakistani education system. And I said in the previous module that Zia's policies actually brought out more English medium schools and in other words, more liking among people for the English language, because the policies were aimed at certain political gains and not on the genuine intention to change the linguistic picture of the country or to streamline the education system of the country. These political gimmicks by the successive governments in Pakistan, and I could give only few examples in this brief lecture, were completely detached from reality. They had no clue what was happening on the ground. In the education policy of 1970, we could see a criteria was set for the choice of medium of instruction. And this was very interesting one. Let's have a look at it. A language which may help students to acquire knowledge as effortlessly as possible, to communicate with clarity and objectivity, and the language which may bring in some critical thinking among learners. Well, do you really think that English fulfills this criteria? I really don't think so, but it is still persisting with the language as a medium of instruction. Regarding language policy and planning, we could also see that there has been a serious lack of sensitivity to the sentiments of linguistic and ethnic minorities. We could also see that English has been considered as an entry gate to the domains of power, and Urdu is only second to this. Overall, if we try to sum things up, we would see that multilingualism in Pakistan, which could possibly be a blessing otherwise, has been considered a challenge by the successive governments in the country. It has never been treated properly to get its fruit for the masses and for the overall fate of the country. There has been a serious lack of political will, as I said earlier. lack of inclusion of ethnic groups in the overall linguistic picture of the country, and lack of practical measures by the successive governments to change things on a positive side. What could be done for the future? I would suggest only few things here, and you could add up based on your own knowledge. There should be clear and practical language and education policies which are not detached or removed from reality. The policymakers should focus on the linguistic and cultural sensitivities of the people while making such policies. Roles of English, Urdu, and other local languages of the people of Pakistan should be clearly defined. Again, not based on any specific political agenda, but on the will and the sensitivities of the people. Role of native language or the languages of the people in education should also be clearly defined. Based on recent studies in the world, we could see that many studies in recent times show that if early education is delivered to young minds in their own native language, this could bring in more fruits for these little kids. This could enhance their critical ability as compared to a foreign language education at the early stage of their educational career. In addition to this, social class-based division of English in Pakistan should also be controlled, and if English has to persist with this prestigious status in the country, the poorer or less privileged classes of the country should also have a reasonable and fair access to this language as well. We could also recommend that the global roles of English should be recognized in a proper way. And there should be serious political will and effective monitoring system to see the implementation of various policies recommended by the government in a successful way. If this monitoring would not be there, we could predict that there would be more failures for such policies in future. Government should also be generous in allotting resources to implement such policies. This should not be the least preferred area for them. Rather, they should take it a bit more seriously. And the negative or parochial politics on various linguistic issues should be discouraged.